Yes, you're hearing live sound of the F-16s flying all over Israel right now. We're not sure if this is a real deal or some sort of an exercise, but what we know is that we are having an interesting situation in the Middle East right now where Bashar al-Assad just fired his defense minister. The palace is under almost siege. You can hear the F-16s right above me flying right now. Wow. So, as I said, the situation in the Middle East is growing more and more interesting. I know it's not the best. This is music to my ear, by the way. F-16s are taking off one after the other right now. All right. I hope you can hear me right now. Can you hear me? I'm not going to keep that Facebook Live for too long. In fact, I'm not even going to post it on YouTube. This is just to give you an understanding of how things are going on right now. Living in the Valley of Armageddon is exciting. I can hear the takeoffs and landings of most of our aircrafts that are on their sorties in Lebanon and in Syria. And definitely things are heating up all the way there. We've got two different fronts. We've got the Gaza front, where several rockets fell today in southern Israel, and Israel is hitting the Hamas pretty hard. And on the Syrian front, we're having also an interesting situation, and developing situation, dramatic one, where Bashar al-Assad just fired his defense minister. This is the first time it happens, of course, since the whole war had begun. And that's due to the fact that Bashar al-Assad doesn't feel secure anymore in his own palace. The rebels, the Sunni rebels, are literally 5 miles away from his palace. They started a major offensive on December 30th, I believe, and Bashar al-Assad lost so many soldiers. Over 450 of his soldiers were surrounded, were besieged by the rebels, and he is in a very difficult situation right now. The Iranians are in a very delicate situation because the riots in Iran are spreading to so many different places right now, and one of the things that the Iranians are actually calling to their own government is stop your involvement in Syria, in Yemen, in Iraq, and in Gaza. We want you to take all the resources and invest it in us, your citizens. All of the millions or billions of dollars that you make are actually poured on the attempt to spread the Shia and to arm the terrorist organizations all around us, but they see nothing from it. The interesting thing that we realize over the last few days is that most of the people that are protesting in the streets of Shiraz, Isfahan, Tehran, Bandaras, and all of those towns are actually conservative people. These are the people that would vote for the conservatives on a normal given day. This is not the liberals. This is not the Green Revolution that they attempted in 2009 that was crushed very, very brutally by the regime. These are the people that would normally vote for the Iranian regime. And now they are under such scrutiny, they're under such a magnifying glass that they're having hard times sending troops to help Bashar al-Assad. A Russian helicopter crashed today and 4 more Russian bodies are going to be flown back to Moscow, which gives you the understanding that the Russians are also in a very delicate situation. And this is exactly why Bashar al-Assad he feels very much under pressure. He understands that the situation that is developing in the Middle East is not working in his favor. If everything looked perfect up until a month or 2 ago, things have changed radically in the last 30 days or so. Allow me to say that much of it is due to the fact that President Trump announced what he announced about Jerusalem, and the world kept going on as if nothing happened. And the realization is that the Jerusalem issue wasn't strong enough and for the Shiites to get everybody rallied against Israel, which means that the strongest weapon that the Muslims had, Jerusalem, isn't working for them right now. And people are not that stupid. People want jobs. People want work. People want Social Security. People want to feed their children, and they rather not deal with the Jerusalem issue and deal with their own income. And therefore, the strategy of the radical Muslim world is failing right now. And we can definitely see that Jerusalem is becoming one of the major reasons why, in fact, the Iranians, the Turks, and Bashar al-Assad themselves are in trouble right now. And a lot of people are asking me, Amir, so explain to us exactly what is it that Jerusalem has to go through in order for Jerusalem to become a cup of poison. And I often tell them, in order for Jerusalem to be a cup of poison, Jerusalem has to appeal. Jerusalem had to look good for people first. What is it? A poison. You really don't know that it's a poison. You drink it, and then you're poisoned. And so my point is this, and this is, I guess, a revelation that I just received in the recent times. My point is this. I don't believe that Ezekiel's war is about Jerusalem at all. The Ezekiel description is not about Jerusalem. Yes, they will be defeated on the mountains of Israel. That's what the Bible is talking about. But the whole campaign is not Jerusalem, and it's not about Jerusalem. It is a big difference between Ezekiel's war, which we anticipate, any given moment, and the Zechariah 12, 13, 14 war, which is known to many of you as the Armageddon War, which is all about Jerusalem. And that is a situation where the Antichrist already rules in Jerusalem. He brought Jerusalem to be a city of peace. He deceived the Jewish people to think that this is going to be peace. He allowed them to build a temple, and then he breaks that peace, and then he walks into the temple, and then he declares himself as God. That's the poison. You see, they drank that drink thinking it is good, and that's the poison. So my point is this. As much as I see Jerusalem being in the headlines right now, I really don't believe that Jerusalem is the biggest problem right now to the people around the world. I believe with all of my heart, I really truly believe with all of my heart, that eventually the people of Israel will be deceived in regards to Jerusalem, and which means the world will somehow appease them. The world would somehow bring them to the understanding that peace is achievable, and of course there will be temple, and that's when the poison is going to be. So I'm not in the school of thoughts that right now Jerusalem is the problem and right now everything is around Jerusalem. Look, Zechariah's prophecy is very significant, but he talks about a world war, whereas Ezekiel speaks about 5 specific nations that will come against Israel as a sovereign nation, and not Jerusalem under the regime of the Antichrist already. And that is a big difference. So right now Israel is a sovereign nation. Right now we prosper. Right now things are going on pretty well. And right now, we are it's not all about Jerusalem. It will be all about Jerusalem once we will be deceived, once peace will be on the table, and once temple will be built. But remember, watch Damascus. Watch what's going on in Iran. Watch what's going on in Russia. Watch what's going on in Turkey, in Sudan, and in Libya. And that will explain to you how close we are, not to Zechariah's prophecy about Jerusalem, but to Ezekiel's prophecy about Israel as a sovereign nation. Wow. Well, I'm glad you got to get a little bit of understanding of the sounds, the beautiful sound I get to hear often here. I live right next to the Valley of Armageddon behind me, and there's the major Israeli Air Force base right over there. Takeoffs and landings all the time. In Israel, when we have F-16 taking off and landing, normally it's because there's action going on. It's not just exercise. We do exercise during the day, but when night falls, and night had fallen already, that's when the business going on. So just wanted you to experience a little bit, and at the same time speak to you about what is going on right now. Ladies and gentlemen, Bashar al-Assad is in deep trouble right now. Iran is in deep trouble right now. Turkey is in deep trouble right now. And all of that eventually will play a significant role in Ezekiel's prophecy's fulfillment. Thank you